Hello every pony, and welcome to another episode today of the Pony Public Library. Today we have with us P0nies, also known as Tyler Kanthak, the writer of Luna's Alarm Clock. Say hello.
How you guys doing?
Alright, how are you doing?
Oh, pretty good. Yourself?
Yeah, I'm alright, got a little bit of a cough, but nothing too bad.
Alright, so for those of us who don't know, we're not going to be reading, and we're not going to be reading Luna's Alarm Clock, but, and because that might be a bit long, that's multi-chapters, correct? For those
no, that's actually one chapter.
Oh, it is. Oh, well,
yeah.
Is it one of those, from the sounds of it, it's one of those, Luna's future shock things, right?
Yeah. That's pretty much what it is.
Alright. So, but the story we are doing today is a peaceful departure, correct? What is this about?
The story's title is actually Comfort Leaving.
Oh.
It's about Twilight and her. It's more of her in her final days, kind of reminiscing over her and her friends, and it's essentially comfort in leaving and being happy.
Alright.
So why did you choose this fic over your other ones?
Because I see myself more of a sad fic writer other than a comedy. Even though some of my comedies have gotten more attention than my sad fics, I like my sad fics a bit more than I do comedies. And I feel like I did Comfort Leaving better than I did Luna's Alarm Clock, even though that one was a bit more out there than this one was.
That's understandable. Sad fics are more difficult to write, but they can, you can use a lot more emotion, and it's easier to put literary elements in them rather than comedy ones, other than, like, maybe references, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
So, where did you get the inspiration for writing your fic?
Most of my inspiration is, well, I don't really know where I get my inspiration, to be honest. It's just, I'll be sitting here listening to EFR or playing a game, and I'll just come up with an idea and I'll just start writing. It's out of thin air pretty much, so I really have no set inspiration for my stories.
Is there any artists you do look towards their style and say, "Ooh, maybe I should adopt that into my own," or is it all just completely just what comes?
Two people that have really set me out there, that actually, one story that got me set on writing sad fics was The Lights Go Out by Absolutely Anonymous. And the first sad fic I have written was the first sad fic I read was My Little Dashie by Rob Kagren. So
it's a staple sad fic for pretty much any sad fic writer to read.
yeah,
You call that?
It was actually the very first sad fic that I've ever read, and the very first fic I've read from the Brony community.
So, could you say that was your inspiration then?
Yeah, it was pretty much, those were pretty much my inspiration to get started on sad fics. I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna go out there and I'm going to write a sad fic now. And at the end, I've written probably at least 15 different sad fics that have been received well.
A certain type of sad fic you write? Like, some people enjoy writing ponies passing away, some just like just something bad happening. Is there a certain type of sad that you like to go for?
Well, the type of sad I like to work with is more of a dream sequence type. I guess you'd say, like, it's the ending. I like to write sad fics that can really affect you, but then once you come across the end, it's the bittersweet ending that gives you a smile even though there's still a tear in your eye. I like to write that kind of thing, and I like to do that with the passing away naturally effort, and that's just what I like to do. Is it feels the best for me to write those.
Do you have a favorite fic writer, and out there, like a fellow fic writer?
I don't have I don't think I could say I have a favorite fic writer because I really do like a lot of different fic writers that are out there. Like there's a bunch of the smaller ones that I really do like, the people that aren't known as well. But I can't really pick a favorite because I do like a lot of different people's works.
Would you want to give one of them a shout out?
Well, let's see. Chaotic Harmony. I think Chaotic Harmony. He's somebody who's really kept me going through my work. He's really pushed me through it, and he's really been out there for me ever since I've really started. So, yeah, it's just Chaotic Harmony.
Oh, yeah. Well, we actually had him on pretty recently, and he's still in touch with the show, but.
An annoyingly good fanfic author as well, so I can see why you like him. Is there any, this is slightly changing the topic, is there any of the episodes that you really enjoyed? What's your favourite episode?
Oh, my favorite episode. I think my favorite episode was, I can't remember the name for the life of me, but it was the one where Applejack goes to the Canterlot for the for the fair, and she doesn't come back, and Pinky, she supposedly breaks the Pinky promise, and then Pinky goes all demonic. That was, I'd have to say that was one of my favorite moments and my favorite episode in the show so far.
And so do you have, what about, you saw this one coming, favorite pony?
Favorite pony? I'd have to say Twilight Sparkle is my favorite pony.
So, and, why, do you relate to Twilight Sparkle? Like, what's your reasons?
Yeah, I really do relate to Twilight Sparkle. I'm not so social like she was before she came to Ponyville and all that. And I guess you'd say I am a smart. People have called me smart and all that. I've done quite a bit, but I'm not really. It's just I'm smart. I'm book smart, but I'm not really street smart. So I relate to her because of how her personality is and about her total mindset too.
Yeah, I understand that, the whole book smart but not necessarily street smart. Is there anything in season 3 that you kind of want?
Season 3, I would like to see more Luna and more Trixie, and maybe even give Applejack her own episode because she seems to be lacking that.
Well, lately anyway.
Yeah, lately she has been.
All 3 of them need more airtime, in my opinion.
It would be nice to see some Day in the Limelight episodes from side characters who are still major. Like, someone aside from the CMC, by the way. I mean, they're nice, but we want someone, someone who actually affects or the environment around them, rather than the other way around.
Yeah.
Get into the Bernie community, then.
Well, the Bernie community, it was one night. I was actually going around on YouTube just watching videos, and there's this My Little Pony one in the sidebar. For whatever reason it was there, YouTube and its fancy annex. But I've heard about it. I'm like, I didn't really care about the Bernie community, to be honest, or even My Little Pony. I've heard about it. People are like, oh god, My Little Pony, and I was like, you know what, hell with it, I'll give it a try. I decided to go and watch the first episode, and I watched probably half of season 1 that night.
When was that?
That was, I would have to say about 4 months ago. About 4 or 5 months ago.
How did you get into the actual Bernie? Because I know some people find it, yes, they're a pony fan, but then stepping into the Bernie community is like another step.
Well, I came into the Brony community. I'd seen comments on My Little Pony videos. It's like about fan fictions and My Little Dashie, and then everywhere I went about My Little Pony, I kept on seeing My Little Dashie, My Little Dashie, My Little Dashie. So then I went and I read My Little Dashie, and at the end of it, I was actually crying about it, and I'm like, you know what, I like this. And then I went and found FimFiction, and I started up on FimFiction and DeviantArt, and then I just pretty much got started up from there in the actual Brony community, and that's how it was just the mentioning of My Little Dashi that got me into it.
What was your first episode that you saw?
The first episode that I saw was actually the first episode. Season 1, episode 1.
Makes sense.
In order.
Yeah, I watched all the episodes in order.
So, as far as your fics, are you planning to, what's the word? Would you ever, plan to, collab with someone? Somebody?
I've been asked by some of my friends to help them out with, a choose your own adventure fic that they're building, but I don't think I really want to do a collaboration fic. I like to sit down and just start pounding out a story, start typing it, and it's not that I don't like people, it's just that I like to be able just to sit down and go through it and put my mind into it, because it just gets complicated having two people put their own mind into a single story, in my opinion.
Like, you don't want anyone removing any of your ideas, kind of thing.
Yeah, because when I write a story, I have certain events that I want to be in there, because I don't really set out there's not usually a set plot in my stories when I start writing them. I build the plot as I go, and I put myself in. Usually when I write my fanfics, the emotion in the character, I try to put myself there as much as I can, and I write it that way, and I write it with how I think the story should flow, and that's why I don't really have a set plot.
And that makes sense. So, and so you kind of write the story as you go, then.
Yeah, it's pretty much how I write.
Yes, okay, go ahead, then.
Well, I was just going to say, Vixlow is currently in the chat and asks, is there anything about the pony fandom you don't like?
Well, one of the most obvious ones is the R34 aspect of the fandom. I mean, I'm not going to go out there and hate on R34 and all that. I mean, it's not bad art. I mean, it really isn't. It's just the suggestiveness of what it implies and what it is. Because I mean, you're taking a show that is made for the younger generations, and you're applying this porn aspect to it. I mean, it's like they're going to find that, and it's not the right thing to have out there, especially for this kind of show. I mean, it really is. Some of it really is beautiful art, but it's just the fact of what it is I just don't like that.
It removes like you're saying, the entire point, and like a good portion of this is for like innocence and escaping from all the stuff that we normally get.
Yeah.
But they're kind of pulling it in.
Yeah, essentially.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. That is a reason for a lot of bronies to join up, like a break from the mold, and of all this sex and violence that we're so used to. It's nice, but it gets old. Yeah.
Yeah, I have to agree entirely with you. I've never been into the R34 aspect either. But is there anything else? I don't know, artwork or music or anything like that? Or are you just happy with everything that the fans creating?
Well, the only other thing I could really say I don't like is like heavy grimdark, heavy dark, where I've never read Cupcakes or Rainbow Factory, and personally those are two fics that I really don't want to ever read just because of what they're about, and that's not how I want to see ponies, and I just don't I don't like that aspect, the heavy dark and the heavy like slaughter and all that. It's not my heavy gore. I don't like that aspect of it.
So you like stuff kind of like in the stuff that actually could happen within the universe, ambiguous canon.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah,
That's how I like to do it.
Yeah, which I can also tell from your sad fic that you just said that you like to go for the bittersweet ending, which also is carried through the episodes where they might go bad, but then they always have a nice, happy moral at the end of them.
most of my fics are actually based off of a general idea I have. Um, One that Chaotic Harmony, I mentioned him earlier. One fic that he absolutely loved was a 7 minutes fic. It's my fic called 7 Minutes. Because the way I started with that fic, the basis of it was that you have 7 minutes of brain activity after you die, right? And I had that idea in my mind for about a month, and I was just sitting there and like, I could actually make a fic of this. And then I went from doing that, and then I just wrote and I wrote it, and then it's just when I get to the endings, I like to have something that you could feel happy about, because I don't want to leave people feeling like, oh God, now I'm just sad. I don't want people to be. I want people to be sad while they're reading it. I want to lift their spirits a little bit after they're done with it, to be able to bring a smile on their face. It's enjoyable to do that to me.
So now we can know what to expect when we're reading the one that you told us to read.
Yes, you can.
Which actually leads me to the question: why is your title for your fic, "Comfort in Leaving," different to the actual name of the chapter?
Peaceful Comfort in Leaving and Peaceful Departure. I usually have the title and the chapter in my stories. The title and the chapter usually aren't ever the same, but they do mean something once you read the story. Like the Comfort in Leaving and the Peaceful Departure, it both relates to the story. Like the peaceful departure and leaving happy, the comfort in actually being able to leave happy and being able to peacefully depart from this world as you know it. So that's essentially why the chapter name is different from the actual story name.
So it's just a thing that you like to do rather than just copy paste both, like have the same.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't like to see it when it's just two the same names. It breaks the flow a bit for me. I like to do that.
Also nuances that you use, like things that you find that you do that's different to other writers?
What I don't. Well, I like to think that I write a bit differently than other writers, but I can't really say that I do. I mean, I write really good. I write Twilight Sparkle very well. I'm a good writer for her personality, and I've been told that through the multiple Twilight Sparkle fan fictions that I have written, and people are like, you have really gotten the Twilight down. So I've kind of stuck with Twilight for some of my side fics, and it's I don't know, it's just the way I write is I actually sit back when I'm reading it. If I get to a part and I want to figure out what emotions to put in and how I want to convey the character's feelings, I will actually just sit back and play over the scenario in my mind of what I want to write, and then I'll go from how I feel after that, depending on how the character felt in my own mind.
Is there any writing that you find difficult?
I personally, I don't personally like to write like adventure style fics or multi-chapter fics. Even though I'm starting to get into the multi-chapter fics and starting to get those down a little bit more. But I've liked to be able to write short stories, ones that can be if you can convey the words and get your emotions across and actually have the same feeling in 2,000 words compared to 6,000, then I will do that. And if it still has the same feeling, that is good. And yeah. Have
you ever had anything that has directly inspired you, like that you to the point that you emulated it and used it as a base, and then just modified it to the point where it was something completely unique?
I don't believe I've ever used any ideas. Except, well, my first fic, I guess you could say that was a kind of an inspiration off of My Little Dashie, but I didn't really use the same basis as he did. But that was my inspiration for my very first fic. Was My Little Dashie, and then from there it went on to. Yeah, I don't really use. I like to use original ideas. Original ideas when I'm writing feel a lot better when I'm actually typing it out compared to somebody else's idea that I'm trying to modify. Because if I've read their fic and I try to use their basis idea of their fic and then try to modify that, I already have how their fic is written in my mind, and I'll, even though I want to write it the other way that I would like to write it, the way their fic is written will still be in my mind, so I will write it based on what I remember from their fic. And I just don't like to. That's why I like to use more of original ideas compared to basing it off of another author's idea.
All right. Do you have any? And would you ever do like a self-insert OC? Have you ever done that?
I haven't really done a self-insert OC. The only two real OCs I've ever had was my very first fic and my third fic. My first fic wasn't that great at all. It was my first fic. But then my third fic was actually, I had an OC with Princess Luna and Celestia. It wasn't much of a self-insert, but it was actually a fic that actually made it onto EQD at one point. And it was essentially an OC that had been trapped in stone, and it was a different type of story for me to write. I was experimenting with a completely different idea, and that was the one successful OC I've had. And I don't like to go into OCs because I just don't. I prefer to stick with what I am knowing, because I can write that better. And unless I've really developed an OC over time, I don't really want to go through a story and then try to develop the personality as I go, because then I could have something that doesn't match up to what I said in the past, and I don't want to ruin an OC's personality just because of not having what he or she is set in stone.
If I'm, correct me if I'm wrong, Pete, you said that you don't have your own OC, but the question I want to ask is, where did you get the name P0nies with a 0 from?
That name was actually, it originates from my Minecraft name, believe it or not. My Minecraft was P0nies with a 0, PH0nies, and coming into the fandom, making these accounts, I didn't know what else to do, and I was thinking about using P0nies, but it just sounded strange to me, so I stuck with P0nies, and that's how I started off as P0nies.
What projects are you working on currently, or will be, or are you thinking about working on in the future?
Two projects that I actually have going right now is one of them is a fanfiction that's using. And actually, both of them are fan fictions. One of them is using the Everfree staff, right? OCs, and I'm making it about the general creation of Everfree Radio in Equestria. I've gotten the permission from most of the people to use their OCs in it already, and it's going to just be. It's essentially the story of how Everfree Radio came to be in Equestria, just as a fun fic to write. And then the second project I'm working on is it's a semi-Stargate crossover. Stargate SG-1, Stargate Universe, Stargate, all those. But it's essentially using the idea to create a unique human in Equestria fic. Even though those are highly disregarded out there and considered mostly crap, I am going out there and I want to try to make a really unique human in Equestria fic. And if I can do that, I'd be pleased with that.
Alright. I believe that's all the questions we have.
Yeah. I will agree with you there. Do you have any final words you'd like to say before we move on to the fanfic reading?
To anybody who is actually out there trying to get their start in fan fiction, just start writing. I mean, you can't just come in here and expect to write a story and then be like, hey, yeah, I'm awesome now. It takes time to get your stories out there, and it takes time to actually get noticed. Make sure you get an editor. Make sure you just write what you enjoy. If you write something you don't enjoy, it's not going to be a good fan fiction. It's going to be something that you're not going to be proud of. You're going to sit there and be like, why did I write this? I didn't really want to write this, compared to a story that you actually did want to write, and that does really good. It makes you feel better than some other story that you're just like meh about.
I know that some people will stop listening here, and I thank you for tuning in. We will be, in the next part of this recording, we will be going on to the fanfic reading. For all those that have stopped listening, thank you very much for tuning in. We are currently looking for any suggestions from any viewers of who we should be interviewing. You can contact us on our YouTube page, or you can email us at theponypubliclibrary@gmail.com. Pyro, do you have anything else to say?
Well, let's see. I do have, on one comment, Dev, we always seem to come at a bad time for you. We should rename you Whisper Down the Lane or something, I think. How much you gotta whisper while you're doing the show. It'd be an awesome OC, I think. Well, I'm working on finding an environmental program for us to get behind. If any pony out there, well, I don't know yet if we're going to be able to do it for reasons that are secret to the show right now, but we are looking for an environmental thing. If you guys do know one that we can support actively, keep it in mind, and you can tell it to us. But and we will credit you for telling us. But we may not be able to support it within the near future. We will definitely try though. And the bottom line is we're going to be doing, like I said a few weeks ago, we are looking for an environmental program to get behind. Some kind of big get up, stand up thing, kind of like that. So look out for that.
Hope you've enjoyed.
Good night, everybody.